What Gennadiy Golovkin did to this unfortunate opponent will leave you speechless. In the noble art of boxing, it has always been clear that a barking dog seldom bites. In other words, fighters who loudly boast about how they will crush their opponents tend to fail spectacularly. In today's video, you'll witness a striking example of this statement as we relive the night when Gennadiy Golovkin struck fear into Curtis Stevens. I advise discretion. The footage you're about to see is not for the faint-hearted. The event. On the night of November 2, 2013, the boxing world witnessed a drama that fans will likely remember for decades. Two individuals stepped into the ring, not only with different fighting styles but also vastly contrasting temperaments. In one corner stood the master of the ring, Gennadiy Golovkin. In the other, a provocative American opponent, Curtis Stevens. What made this fight historic wasn't just the high expectations surrounding it, which it ultimately surpassed. It was the personal drama that unfolded before millions of viewers that elevated this bout to another level. Stevens, who will always be remembered for his lack of discipline and general life aptitude, stirred up controversy on social media before the fight. Together with his friends, accomplices in the act, he posed in a photo staging an improvised funeral for Gennadiy. As if the scene wasn't already blatant enough, Stevens made the cyber attack even more direct by captioning the image with, "Rest in peace, Triple G. You were a good guy." What some less skilled fighters might have taken as an intimidating threat, for Golovkin it was the last straw. After seeing what Stevens had done, Golovkin made it clear to him and the world that all boundaries had been crossed. Stevens, raised on the tough streets of Brooklyn, had no intention of stopping there. At the pre-fight press conference, the American fighter didn't miss any opportunity he created to hurl a barrage of provocations at Golovkin. Once again, Stevens showed little concern for crossing the line of acceptable behavior. Although his bold words elicited mixed reactions from those present, Golovkin displayed the poise of a true pugilist by remaining untouched by the insults and prejudices hurled at his name and career. Instead of stooping to his opponent's level, Golovkin reaffirmed his position, responding calmly only when strictly necessary. Surely he understood that, in the noble art of boxing, words don't define superiority. However, following these repeated incidents fueled by Stevens' ignorance, it became evident that their bout in the ring would be more than just a title fight. It would be a clash between two different worlds, two completely opposing philosophies. And it became clear that these fighters were destined to follow entirely different paths. After all the controversy, the long-awaited day finally arrived. Gennadiy Golovkin entered the arena not only calm but also laser-focused on achieving the objectives set for that day. Number 1. Punish Stevens cleanly for all the audacity he had spewed before the fight. Number 2. Prevent a cocky fighter from even having the chance to feel like he could beat someone of Golovkin's caliber. As the camera followed him, capturing his face, the immense confidence he had in himself was unmistakable as he faced what was about to happen. Amazingly, the support of his fans, who idolized him, perfectly matched his energy. And despite spotting some familiar faces in the crowd, his eyes never lost focus on the tough task ahead. On the other hand, Curtis Stevens stunned everyone by choosing loud, aggressive music for his entrance. But what else could one expect from him? This was the perfect reflection of his daring attitude and pre-fight behavior. With his head held high, moving energetically to the rhythm of the music, Stevens took steps toward his own downfall. There was no doubt that once again, the American was only trying to intimidate his opponent before the real fight began. When the two fighters were finally locked in the ring, the tension reached its peak. Golovkin and Stevens met in the center of the ring for the customary final instructions. Their gazes searched each other for any sign of weakness or fear, but neither showed any. At that moment, all the trash talk and provocations were abruptly left behind. It was time for action. The punches of the stronger fighter would have the final say. Fight recap. From the start of the fight, the tension was palpable. Both fighters moved to the center of the ring, displaying their unwavering determination to move forward. Without rushing to attack step by step, they demonstrated their fury.
So I do not expect a premature stoppage tonight.
Curtis Stevens.
Well, Triple G is doing a good job starting out.
Himself had a pretty good amateur background.
Very quick fighter.
Golovkin lands a rights up and focusing on defense. Now he tries a big shot and lands to see Golovkin backing away from a guy, but he respects Stevens' power. Good left hook.
In the second round, the intensity of the fight began to rise with punches flying left and right. Stevens, known for his aggressive style, landed several heavy hooks on Golovkin.
Has already stalled Golovkin's normal early rounds attack.
And Stevens landed a left.
But Gennadiy quickly responded, matching his intensity.
Expecting something big to land.
And the threat of that almost beat Kovalev. Lost a very
Well, other than the threat that a healthy...
was the last time we saw it.
The climax of the round came when Golovkin landed a devastating left hook that sent Stevens crashing to the canvas.
Is the left hook there? Golovkin. Good left hook by Golovkin.
The American got back up, but his terrified expression drew laughter from the audience. Golovkin lunged forward, attempting to finish the fight early, but the bell gave Stevens the chance to survive for another round.
Bang, Stevens into the ropes. 10 seconds to go in the round. Body shot. Looking upstairs. Misses her right hand. Wobbles Stevens with it. One more.
In the subsequent rounds, the fighters didn't slow down. Both engaged in spectacular exchanges of blows. Golovkin continued landing hook after hook, maintaining a high level of intensity, while Stevens, despite a few successes, couldn't gain any significant advantage.
Show Stevens all night that his hook was just as good or better than Stevenson's.
Let's go now as Golovkin jabs him into position in the corner, throws a right cross, gets in a left.
Barely holding on with his back frequently hitting the ropes, Stevens was clearly falling behind. Cornered in the ring, Stevens no longer resembled the brash fighter from the pre-fight provocations. As the fight progressed, Golovkin only continued to dominate. His relentless offense reached a breaking point, forcing the American not only to retreat, but to avoid direct confrontation at all costs. It seemed that on this night, the only thing resting in peace in the ring was Stevens' fighting spirit.
Partially blocked both of them.
Possibility of a counter shot.
Doesn't
Right
want to
hand
trade.
over the top by Golovkin.
There it was.
Body shot.
Aside from landing a few body shots, Stevens' performance was truly disappointing, painful to watch. At times, Golovkin succeeded in severely hurting Stevens. More often than not, Stevens was completely disarmed. It became clear that no matter the progression of the rounds, Gennadiy was constantly seeking the knockout. But would he achieve it?
If you watch this, incredibly accurate guy. He just keeps coming forward like a machine, and he's beaten up.
Third round just to clear his head after the second round knockdown.
Of course, of course.
It's pinned against the ropes. And now Stevens erupts with two good clean shots. And knocks Golovkin. Another body shot for Golovkin, this with the right hand. He's got Stevens' hand. Golovkin lands an uppercut. Golovkin knocking him. And the left hook. Golovkin trying to measure.
By the 8th round, one thing was undeniable. Stevens was on the brink of defeat. Seeing that their fighter lacked the ability to respond to the repeated punishment dealt by Gennadiy, Stevens' team decided not to send him out for the 9th round.
Curtis' left eye starting to close from the
Physical abuse.
Yeah, but Stevens in the last minute.
Oh, good left uppercut by Golovkin.
Golovkin keeps it.
And Stevens backs up into the ropes again. He might have hurt him with that pressure. Hard right cross. It looks like if we get a knockout by Golovkin, it's going to be the submission of will variety.
I see Curtis breaking down physically.
Tremendous left. Incipient beatdown, whipping Curtis Stevens into the corner.
This decision stopped the fight and prevented Golovkin from inflicting unnecessary additional damage. After all, there was no chance whatsoever for Stevens to stage a comeback and miraculously claim victory. The American Clown's final act was denying Golovkin the satisfaction of a knockout win. However, Stevens must have felt some twisted sense of accomplishment by enduring 8 rounds of agony before surrendering out of fear of further punishment. Conclusion. This victory marked the 28th in Gennadiy's career. It not only earned him widespread recognition for the dramatic spectacle of dismantling the American, but he was also rewarded with a purse of $400,000. What a cherry on top of the cake. A cake that Curtis Stevens didn't even get close to tasting. Although the American walked away with $290,000, he likely had little left after covering the medical bills for his post-fight injuries. This fight not only solidified Golovkin's position as one of the greatest fighters of his time, but also served as a valuable lesson to anyone thinking of disrespecting or challenging his professionalism. If you've made it this far, thank you. Remember, the best way to support my content is by leaving a like and commenting below. Do you think Curtis Stevens ever had a real chance of beating Gennadiy Golovkin, or was he just a big mouth whose skills never matched his words? Share your thoughts in the comments. I hope to see you in the next video.